Hello, welcome to honest-wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. It's the Age of Sigmar Stats Center where you can find out about event results and lists that have done well at Age of Sigmar tournaments happening at the weekend. I was away in Boston at the Everwinter GT, which will be the first event I cover last week, so I wasn't able to do last week's show. My apologies. But I'm back and I've covered them all, including this week where there was only one event at the weekend. So, we're going to get into it. I'm joined by the Twitch chat. You can go check it out here. Yeah, I'm really hoping at some point we see like 6 chariots do well. I don't assume we will, but it would be cool to see 6 chariots do really well. You know, like 6 Stormstrike chariots, because they're just really decent. And then we're going to be looking at all these events and looking at the list. If you'd like to support the show, obviously there's Patreon and all those other things. That'd be really great. Or leave some comments. Just like me, like, I love that list, or I can't believe he did that list, or oh my god, Iron Blasters, etc., etc. If you listen to a podcast, stay hydrated, stay healthy, stay well, and Merry Holidays, Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas, all those other words to everyone. Let's get into it. The first event we're going to look at is the Everwinter Grand Tournament held in Boston, Massachusetts. It's been held by the Wicked Dicey Gaming Club. They're obviously locals to Boston. I think they're called Bostonians, and they're wicked smart. Great intro, loved that. Anyway, you can get a load of their merch on Amazon, and as you can see, based on Dunkin' Donuts, because that's Boston is where Dunkin' Donuts came from. If anyone's a Dunkin' Donuts fan, on Thursday night I went for dinner with a bunch of the Wicked Dicey people, and they said to me, "Rob, we've got a local called Anthony Lawrence, and he is going to take out the event." And I said, "Lads, everyone thinks that their local person is like the best Warhammer player available. That's just what everyone thinks. They're like, there's no way you can beat him. He's my guy." But 3 days later, a root canal surgery and a terrible performance from me, lo and behold, Anthony Lawrence of the Wicked Dicey crew went 5-0, and he ended up winning the event. So congratulations to him. In the 5-0 bracket, we've got Anthony Lawrence with Soulblight Gravelords, Jacob Brandon with Skaven, and Lucas McConnell, and he was running Daughters of Khaine. Now, actually, really fun thing that we get to talk about here is that these 3 armies are wildly different to some of the armies we've seen previously, and there's a nice diverse mix in that top bracket at this 95-person event. So love that. We love that. Like, honestly, the last season, it was getting a little bit boring, and at some points it has become a bit boring with the incarnate, reading out these lists or looking at these lists for what's doing well, but nice diverse little list at the top is super fun, and we're really happy with that. Right, so Daughters of Khaine. Oh no, first up, the Soulblight Gravelords list that won the event was Castelli Dynasty, and he had a Coven Throne, Neferata, Kado, Ezekar, the Hollow King, and then a Necromancer. So the Coven Throne is going to be giving you +1 to hit, +1 to wound, and +1 save as a command ability out. And I would be unsurprised if that wasn't going on the unit of Blood Knights. Neferata, who's a great wizard, has also got the ability to make it so you have an unrendable unit. So you're going to have you can't apply negative modifiers to the save roll. So Blood Knights are going to be on a 2-up armor save, just whomping around fighting. 2 units of 10 Death Rattle Skeletons, which are in Unmatched Conquerors, so they're going to count as 30 on an objective. 2 units of 5 Blood Knights, which, 2 units of 5 Black Knights, which in conjunction with the Blood Knights are bounty hunters, so they're going to do extra damage versus battle line Galician veterans, and then a big unit of Graveguard, and then Chronomantic Cogs. So obviously the Necromancer can make the Graveguard pile in and attack twice, which is super scary, especially again if they give the Coven Throne buff to it, which is really, really solid. Just all over a very great list for holding a bunch of objectives, but, and this is important, not a list that always does super well. It's not necessarily on meta. It's generally a 4-1 army, like 3-2-4-1 for the Soulblight Gravelords. Seeing them at the 5-0 bracket at a big event is really exciting. So super happy for Anthony there, and he should be super chuffed with that performance. Jacob Brandon. Now, Jacob we saw play at Summer Slaughter with his Skaven. I got a chance to talk to him about his list. He's been trying really hard with this list at loads of different events over the past year or so, or at least this GHB. And one of the things he's been really working towards is just getting that 5-0. And he's just ground it out time after time with a bunch of 4-1s, and he told me he's like, sometimes the spells I need just don't go off, they just don't happen, and therefore I don't get that little play, I don't get that little trick, I don't get that alpha strike that I'm going for, and then everything goes wrong and it all falls apart. So that's what he told me. What's in the list? Verminlord Deceiver with the Shadow Magnet Trinket and the Spell the Flaming Weapons. And then the Verminlord Warbringer with the Command Trait Devious Adversary and then the Rust Cursed Armor. And then the Plague Priest, 2 lots of 20 Clan Rats, 15 Gutter Runners as battle line, and then two more units of 5 Gutter Runners, and then 2 units of 3 Warp Lock Jezzails. So the Jezzails are just your wish.com version of long strikes. Thanks, chat, for the joke there. The Gutter Runners are going to deep strike effectively, and they're going to shoot at probably some characters to take out a lot of your synergy in your army, or maybe just start whittling down a big monster. Any of those things, and they're pretty devastating, the Gutter Runners. And then you've also got the Verminlord Deceiver, who can teleport in with his spell, and the Verminlord Warbringer, who's got Fight on Death. This is all really important as well. He was able to beat Tom Guan with his Iron Blaster list, so 3 Iron Blasters and 2 Stonehorns, to get to the 5-0 bracket. So that's pretty exciting for him, because not only was that a massive win, round 5, that's also, oh, was it round 4? No, I think it was round 5. It's a massive win round 5, but also it's up against an absolutely solid list. Absolutely solid list. And then finally, Everwinter. So finally, we've got Hag Queen on Cauldron of Blood. 2 units. So this is Lucas McConnell. Lucas with a very, very kind of off-meta Daughters of Khaine list. I think he was playing them as mainly goblins, which is quite fun. And then we've got High Queen on Cauldron of Blood, 2 units of High Gladiatrixes, so they're the characters. There's a lot to say about what they do, but effectively they mean that the Witch Elves can be hitting on 2s and wounding on 2s. They can be up to Rend 2 in this list as well, and he's got 2 units of 20 Witch Elves and a unit of 30 Witch Elves, all in Bounty Hunters, 1 unit of Doomfire Warlocks, 2 units of 5 Heart Renders, and then 2 Stormstrike Chariots. So the Stormstrike Chariots are going to do mortal wounds when they charge in, and they're actually low-key great linchpin units for like pinning your opponent back, stopping some charges, screening, and doing some pretty solid damage. He's got the Endless Invocation, the Heart of Fury, which makes units within 9 inches or models within 9 inches -1 to damage, like Thunder Lizard. So from 2 to 1 or 3 to 2, which is really, really good for their survivability as well, with the Cauldron of Blood obviously giving them that +1 save aura from their shield. So yeah, overall, like a lot of wounds, but also an incredible amount of output. And then the Heart Renders for achieving battle tactics really early, which is really nice. And Stormstrike Chariots even for like early trades. Stormstrike Chariot, you just drop a unit of Stormstrike Chariots on an objective. Your opponent has to take it off. You countercharge with your Witch Elves. I like that. Maybe even do the same with the Doomfire Warlocks, right? And then that's everything in the 5-0 bracket. Let's go look at the 4-1s. Looking at the 4-1 bracket, it's a who's who of Age of Sigmar in the American Northeast. Sorry, apologies. Okay, so here we go. Right, we got in the top of the 4-1 bracket is Nate Trentinelli. Do I want a t-shirt design with me and him in a hot tub? The answer is yes. Yeah, what was he running? He was running Nighthorn. What was it in his Nighthorn list? He was running Scarlet Doom, a Krulgas Cruciator, 2 Spirit Torments, one of whom had the Master of Magic Arcane Tome combo. He then had 2 units of 20 Bladegeist Revenants, 2 units of 5 Hex Wraiths for like pre-game moving and blocking your opponent from moving out their deployment, 9 Spirit Hosts as a single unit, 2 units of 10 Chain Rasps. Now this has become a kind of Nate like TM build. The 9 Spirit Hosts, no one else I've really seen do it. This is his thing. They're bodyguarding those characters who are helping support the rest of the army so significantly, and the Bladegeist Revenants are doing what they do and murdering the opponent. Real easy, and he's got a bunch of smaller units for just doing multi-charges for like obviously debuffing your opponent every successful charge into a unit by the Retreat and Charge Nighthorn army. Does really well there. He's also got Bounty Hunters and Expert Conquerors in there as well. So he's just capping objectives and doing all sorts of really fun stuff, right? So love that. Love that for him. All right, so then in next place, Jeevan Noah Singh. One of my very good personal friends, and just as is Nate, I only hope I'm friends with Nate. I know I'm friends with Noah. He was running 30 Zangor, some characters, Rashnax. He was running Beasts of Chaos, and he also had 2 lots of 6 Zangor Enlightened and 3 Zangor Enlightened. Absolutely baller list. So yeah, just really, really rock solid. So in there, John Anderson from the Georgia Warband. I've been told specifically by John to shout at everyone in Georgia who plays Warhammer over there. Georgia crew, just let you know, I'm coming over one time. We're all hitting Waffle House at 3 a.m. and we're going to play Warhammer in the Waffle House. If you don't believe me, you'll see me there next year in Georgia playing Warhammer in the Waffle House at 3 a.m. Not a Waffle House, the Waffle House. You know which one I mean. John was running a Lumineth Realmlords list, and he was running, again, it's going to be a bit of a theme, and it's been a bit of a theme for the past few weeks. Lumineth Realmlords, Geometrica, Techless, Enlightener, and a Stone Mage. Then 10 Stone Guard, 1, 2, 3, 4 units of 5 Stone Guard, Umbral Spell Portal, and Ravanax Gnashing Jaws. Now, the Spell Portal, I think, is very useful on tech lists. I'm surprised in some lists I haven't seen it on them. The Enlightener, obviously, being able to cast that spell is pretty good, especially for maybe like a teleport and then drop in the... what's it called? The Rune of Petrification. Although, obviously, he didn't have that in this list and instead has Ravanax, which I think is really, really good. But yeah, John trying his hardest and hitting the 4-1 bracket, but big love to him. Matt Beasley. Me and Matt Beasley spent over an hour and a half talking about every Tzeentch artifact and unit on Saturday night. I felt very privileged to get the opportunity to talk to Matt about this. He went 4-1. We had a really good conversation about different Tzeentch stuff and what we think. I really like his list. Don't forget, he's off the back of a 5-0 recently, potentially, with Tzeentch. And he was running Kairos, a Fluxmaster. This is all in Host Arcanum, and a Magister on Disc of Tzeentch. Then he had 10 Horrors, 6 Screamers, 10 Carrick Acolytes, a Mutanth Vortex Beast, and the Burning Sigil of Tzeentch. He then had 6 Zangor Enlightened on Disc of Tzeentch and the 10 Ungor Raiders. The trick here is the Ungor Raiders have got a pre-game move, meaning you can use the Burning Sigil from your own army to proc and then potentially produce spawn in your opponent's territory, which means that you're going to be able to potentially move block your opponent, which is a very clever little trick. I really, really like that. I think that's quite fun as well. The 6 Screamers is an interesting choice, as opposed to 2 units to 3, and all of this was in a Battle Reg, so it's a 1-drop. So yeah, very fun. Gavin... Greiger, yeah, Rob's Tooth, Gavin, just the shit stirrer. That's what they call him. Gavin the shit stirrer. Just doing this. He was running Daughters of Khaine, wasn't he? Yeah, he was running Daughters of Khaine. I'm pretty certain. In fact, actually, have I forgotten this? No, he wasn't running Seraphon. I'm sure we talked about this. Yeah, he was running Daughters of Khaine. Marathi and the Bow Snakes, with some Fight Snakes and some Heart Renders in the list. Listen, it's a good list. Try your hardest to get them big scores with it. It's a good chance. So then, Adam Weinstein. Yes, Adam was running. Sorry, just double check this for a moment. Was running. Yes, Adam was running the Glotkin, Orgots, Morbidex, and Blobe, and then 3 single Beasts of Nurgle. So 4 massive characters, all who are monsters for going grabbing objectives, all who have 5 at ward saves, once per game kind of 4 at ward save, all that stuff. Unfortunately, he put an extra Feculent Gnarlmaw in his list, so that might be an issue. But I think he got resolved at the event, so there we go, and he ended up 4-1. Then we had Carl Ong from the Tough Crowd. So B's up, C's down for Carl. He was running Barak Zilfin, Aether Chemist, a Navigator, and an Admiral. 3 lots of 10 Archanaut Company, 10 Thunderers, and then 2 Ironclads with the Purple Sun. So the Purple Sun, obviously, he pre-game moves, he drops the Purple Sun in his opponent's army. Sometimes he just kills stuff with the Purple Sun, rolls a 1 and just deletes some things. But sometimes he just makes everything -1 armor because of the aura coming out of the Purple Sun, which makes all of his guns Rend 2. Also, he was using a lot of Team America dice, which are highly suspicious, highly highly suspicious. Also, Carl did really well at the event because he had a natural like battlefield advantage. Most people don't know this, but the event, the tables at Everwinter were what I would describe as on the smaller side. They were quite low down. Carl had a obvious natural advantage as the territory suited him, being more of a kind of like his center of gravity being more orientated towards the lower half of the Earth. He's very small, is my point. That's my joke. Bill Sousa was running Nighthorn. I got to play next to Bill for one game. Bill was running Sousa. Bill suffering from bad back all weekend because of the tables. Just FYI, I think actually he stepped off a curb is what he was actually doing. He is a short king. Listen, I'm not saying he's not a king. Carl's definitely a king, or Baal is definitely a king. But what was he running? It's a great question. He was running some Nighthorn, and he had a load of. Let me just find the list. No, not that. Not that. Yeah, this is it. Scarlet Doom. He had a Red Blade Harrow, a Krulgas Cruciator, 3 Spirit Hosts, 2 lots of 20 Blade Geist Revenants, and then 5 units of Hex Wraiths, and in a Battle Reg and Expert Conquerors. So the Expert Conquerors were his unit of Blade Geist Revenants. So the Hex Wraiths just got this amazing ability to pre-game move up the board and just stop your opponent from moving out of their territory. Grab a bunch of objectives, make it so your opponent can't fight their way out. You win. If they do finally fight their way out, Blade Geist Revenants charge in, do a bunch of damage. Ladies and gentlemen, you've got an amazingly effective army. Really cool. We've seen this played in the UK a few times as well. Hex Wraiths are wildly fast, and then the rest of the army moves into the mid-board and then fights the rest of the army. Just so good. Just super, super good. And played by a babe and a genius. I was lucky enough, actually, on the Friday night, Bill and Tom did a seminar about how they play games, how they like to play, thoughts and stuff. There's some really interesting stuff in there that genuinely I hadn't encountered or thought through either, which I thought was some really good advice, really worth going to. If he does do another one, I would encourage people to go to it. It was a real fun Q&A session. There's about 20 people in there. It went on for about 2 hours. We all chatted about just games, what we thought, how we did stuff. It was a little bit of a problem because we just kept bringing up Iron Blasters. It's pretty much a no-brainer at that point. It would have been nice to have maybe had this conversation 3 months ago, but I guess you always have the conversation during the current meta. So that was a real fun. Talking about Tom, Guan, Tom went 4-1. He was running his ogres, and as we know, well, actually, if we just take a moment, Travis, who's also in this list, so Travis Pearson from the Wicked Dicey crew, love Travis, by the way, was running Tom's first version of his ogre list, which was... let me just find it. Do I even need to find it? I know off the top of my head. Off the top of my head, just so you know, it is... Let me just show you. It's Underguts for Ogre Moor Tribes. It's 4 Iron Blasters, a unit of Noblars, 3 units of 4 Lead Belchers, and then a Butcher and a Frostlord and Stonehorn. With the Frostlord and Stonehorn having the Rotmane Eldar mount trait, and the Butcher having the Gruesome Trophy Rat for +1 to hit and +1 to hit against monsters and heroes for his Iron Blasters and Lead Belchers. So just really, really effective, which is quite interesting because then he ended up playing up against. Oh wow! Let me deal with that in a minute. Thank you to Merry Roofmas, whoever that was. Wow, thank you. Let me come back to that. He played. Someone just donated £100 to the show, and it's completely thrown me off. So if you listen to the podcast, appreciate you. Hope you're well. If you listen to this on YouTube, thanks very much. Please do like and subscribe, I guess. That would be great. But that's because our roof was leaking, and we had to fix it, and someone's helped pay for the roof fix. So thanks. Thank you. Okay. My point is, Tom then iterated from what Travis did. So, Mr. Wormwood, thanks for resubscribing. Travis Pearson, subscribing for the first time. Let's go. Travis running like the first iteration of Tom's list. Travis still going 4-1. Shout out to him. Tom then ran his new iteration. So if you want to know what's hot in Ogre Moor Tribes at the moment, then it's a Frostlord and Stonehorn with the... hold on. No, it's not that. It is basically 2 Frostlords and 3 Iron Blasters is what it currently is. So if that's what you want to try and beat, it's Frostlord Stonehorn, Icebrow Hunter, and a Frostlord Stonehorn. Your battle line is Frost Sabers, and then 3 Iron Blasters, and then 2 units of 20 Gnoblars for a screen. So you still got the Gnoblars, but you don't have any of the Lead Belchers, and instead you've just got the Frost Sabers as your battle line with the Icebrow Hunter. And then that lets you get in 2 Frostlords on Stonehorn, one who's a wizard with the Arcane Tome, and then the spell Ghost Mist, and he's the Rotmane Eldar. So it's interesting he went for Ghost Mist, which makes a line of sight, makes a piece of terrain ignore... it makes a piece of terrain line of sight blocking, as opposed to Flaming Weapons, which would have made it more killy. So he's chosen a utility piece for survivability versus going for more output on the Frostlord Stonehorn. Then Icebrow Hunter, and then another Frostlord on Stonehorn with a Metal Cruncher, and then 3 Iron Blasters, the 20 Gnoblars, and this is all in Boulderhead. Really fun list. Really fun, super cool, outrageously powerful. Like, just very, very good stuff. And the Gnoblars. And I am too amazed that they did not address the Iron Blasters or the Gnoblars in the latest FAQ. Then you have Ryan. Bill, Ryan. We haven't done Ryan's list. Ryan also went 4-1, so shout out to Ryan. He was having 18-minute games. Yeah, he was having games. I think Tom played one game that went for... No, Tom played 2 games that went over an hour that weekend. Outrageously fast. Ryan was playing Blobe, Lord of Afflictions, Festus, and Orgots. Then a unit of Plague Drones, a unit of Puskull Blight Lords, and a unit of Plague Drones again. So all min units. And then a unit of Rotmire Creed, Nurglings, and Furies. So really just thinking it through here. Blobe and Lord of Afflictions. Lord of Afflictions with overpowering Tzeentch as well, and the Split Horn Helm. So he's going to be turning off command abilities in Aura, and Split Horn Helm is going to give him that 4-up ward save. So just super survivable and shutting your opponent down, scoring lots. He's also got Orgots, Demon Spew, and Blobe. So 2 of the Maggoth Lords. The Maggoth Lords have really been stellar this season, and I think they'll continue to be so. Just because their survivability plus heals is really effective on them, because they have the Locus of Fecundity where they'll end up healing D3. You pair that up with other healing inside the book and also the heroic action for heal, and you've just got units that can be nearly dead back to full life, and they're really tough to chew through as well. Anthony Trentinelli from the Tough Crowd. Anthony Trentinelli going 4-1 with Gitz. This really deserves a massive shout out, going 4-1 with Gitz here. He was trying his hardest. He was a bit gutted he didn't hit the 5-0 bracket. And I can absolutely see why, especially as he was doing so well. But 4-1 is still a fantastic feat, in my opinion. Let me just go find the list. I've got a lot of tabs open now. I should just open them as I go. That's what I'm going to do from now on. Just for everyone, BCP has changed. So now opening the list in order is a little bit problematic. What a legend 4-1 with Gitz. He is a legend, Mr. Wormwood. Loon Boss, Madcap Shaman, Scragrot, and a Loon Boss of Mangler Squigs. Then 20 shooters, 2 units of maxed out Squig Herd. So that's 36 Squig Herd, 72 wounds a unit. And then 2 units of 6 Sneaky Snufflers and a Marsh Crawler Slogoth with a Scuttletide and a spell. Battle Regiment and Expert Conquerors. The Squig Herd are in Expert Conquerors, so it was a 4-drop. Now, the Squig Herd in this version of Age of Sigmar at the moment have a 4-up rally. So he's able to pop a bunch of dudes, get them back, and if you do finally kill them, if they haven't rallied so that you never kill them, you end up with the ability to get half of them back from the Loon Shrine. So when you have finally killed all 36, 18 will come back, and they also can rally on a 4-up. You just keep recycling them, and it's really, really effective. Like, very, very effective. With all the buffs you can get from the Snufflers to give them the extra attacks. Scragrot with his shooting, which is genuinely really good, and his casting is really good. The Moon for minus casting, just very, very solid. Christopher Schelling. Oh my god, I almost missed the Nuge. The Nuge was running Beasts of Chaos. He had Gavspawn. He had a Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, Grashrak Felltooth. No, that's Noah's list. Oh, is this Noah's list? No, this isn't Noah's list. This is the Nuge's list. I got to hang out with the Nuge. great human. Dragono Shaggoth, Grashrak Felhooth, Zangor Shaman, 30 Zangor, 2 lots of Tengor, 2 lots of 6 Enlightened, and then Grashrak's Despoilers, and then the Ungor Raiders, and the Wildfire Taurus. So going 4-1 as well. So Beast, again, putting in a really solid performance there. Really happy for him. Christopher Schelling of Harambe's Heroes was running. Let me just triple check. 4-1 with Gitz is amazing. 4-1 with Gitz is amazing in this field. 4-1 with Gitz is great anyway. 4-1 with Gitz in this field is crazy. And again, shout out, and that was Anthony Trentinelli is who did it. Yeah. He was running Ogres, Christopher Schelling. He had Kragnos, a Butcher, and an Icebrow Hunter. The Icebrow Hunter being the general meant that he got 3 units of Frost Sabers. And then he had 20 Noblars and 4 Iron Blasters. So, Kragnos, 4 Iron Blasters. Okay, Kragnos goes forward. You've got to deal with him. And then 4 Iron Blasters are shooting you from the back of the board. Yeah, pretty effective is all I'm going to say. Pretty effective. So that was Christopher Schelling. And that's the end of the 4-1s from the Everwinter GT. I was lucky enough to get to go to the Everwinter GT. I went 3-2. It's pretty sad for me. I'm actually pretty disappointed in myself, but it's for another show and another conversation. The atmosphere was great. The food was amazing. The hotel was wicked. Price support was really, really fantastic. The terrain was really nice. If I have a complaint, is that it was a little tight, but they think they sold a lot of tickets, maybe more than they expected to. And it was really worthwhile event to go to. You can go and follow the Wicked Dicey people on a variety of different platforms. You can go find Corey, and I'll include a link to all those below as well. I know that they want to build up an even bigger tournament in the future. They want next year, and they want to do a bigger event next year, and they want even more events in the year goes through. I don't know if any of you who are listening to the show are located near Massachusetts or anywhere near Boston, but that's seems like a fairly easy place to get to. There's a big airport right next to the event was at the hotel right next to the airport. Seemed good. I had a wonderful time. I would go again in a heartbeat. Yeah, just and the people, the atmosphere was great. It's quite like there's quite a lot of gaming clubs out there in the US now. Obviously, Wicked Dicey who ran the event, and then you got the Tough Crowd people who turned up as they do en masse. And there's really something to be said for that level of enthusiasm. They were, maybe it's just because they're American. Who knows? They were very loud, but I quite like that. Like, some people don't like loud. I like loud. They were loud. They were fun. They were cheering people on. The person who won first place got the same level of applause and chanting that the person who got like third in painting got. Like, they were shouting from the rooftops. And I would like to say that I would like to see more of that. So if you have got an event soon, someone wins, can we get some like big rounds of applause, big shouts, big cries? Because it was really impressive to see. I thought it was really fun. Also, a big shout out to the TOs specifically, because they just did a really, really great job of like dealing with some sensitive issues at some points. And I thought that they were like mature, thoughtful, and kind. And I think actually sometimes that's hard to do when you're TOing because it's quite stressful. So loads of love. And if you get the chance, you should go. That's what I got to say. Our next event takes us to sunny Spain, or lovely Spain, at the GT Bilbao. That's right. It was held here in this cafe, in the lovely city of, I forgot his name now. Damn it. I forgot his name. Some lovely city. It was the lovely city of Bilbao. That's where it was. That's why it was called that. Okay, that makes sense. Anyway, we had 26 players play, and this was a larger event. Now, it was won, and the only 5-0 for the event was by Jesus de la Peña Fernandez. Thank you very much. And he was running a Lumineth Thronelords Ymetrica army. Jesus, yes. And he was running Ymetrica. So they ignore the first 2 bits of Rend in an army. Most armies don't have Rend 3, so that means they're effectively ignoring Rend, which is wildly powerful. And then Teclis, for all of the spells that Teclis can cast, he knows all the spells. He's got a teleport, he's got a move twice, he's got a plus CP spell. He's got some amazing output spells. He's got that 5-up ward spell, Protection Tactics, which he's going to cast all the time. Then he's got the Stone Mage with the Unyielding Toughness and the Molten Talisman, and then the spell Unbreakable Stoicism. So the Unyielding Toughness means that he gets to pick a unit and they're going to count as having 3 wounds as opposed to 2 wounds until the next hero phase, meaning that a unit of Stone Guard are going to be even more tanky when they're on a 4-up armor save, ignoring any rend. They could obviously take that down to a 3-up armor save, and then they also have got 4-up against mortal wounds while they're contesting an objective, which is really strong as well. Talking about Stone Guard, he's got a unit of 5 Stone Guard, a unit of 10 Stone Guard, and another unit of 10 Stone Guard, but he's got a cheeky unit of Tree Revenants as an ally, and then the Rune of Petrification, which just does amazing damage. I don't know how Rune of Petrification isn't in every single Lumineth Realm Lords list. Its output is crazy. It pops off at the beginning and end of every movement phase. 4-up D3 mortal wounds. Got a great casting range as well. Great range of effect. Just really, really effective. Just really, really good. So yeah, well done to Jesus and everyone at the Spanish event. Okay, let's look at the 4-1s. We've got some interesting players and lists in the 4-1 category. Adrian Perez Canora was running an Ogre More Tribes army in Underguts, a Butcher, a Frostlord and Stonehorn, 3 times 4 Lead Belchers, 4 Iron Blasters, and 2 units of Noblars. Shout out to the Noblars supporting the rest of the army. Some support Iron Blasters in there with the command trait Reluctant Rabble Rouser so that the Noblars don't run away. Iron Blasters obviously can shoot 30 inches at Rend 3. Lead Belchers can shoot 18 inches at Rend 2. And then the Butcher in there. And then the Stonehorn with the Rotmane Eldar. So yeah, definitely some very similar Ogre lists doing very, very, very well. And then you've got Yavi Fernandez. He's actually brother of Jesus, who came first. 2 Fernandezes playing here, so the 2 brothers, both from DKHM Wargaming Club. He was running Sylvaneth. Yeah, he was running Sylvaneth, and he was playing Heartwood. He had a Tree Lord Ancient and the Versatile Gem with the Verdant Blessing. He had a Warsong Revenant, and he had the Battle Mage. Then he had 6 Kurnoth Hunters with Scythes, a unit of Tree Revenants, a unit of Tree Revenants, and then the Spike Rider Lancers, a unit 6 of those as well. So he has a unit he can teleport in with the Spike Swarm Hive and the Horrorghast. If he wants to, he can summon that wood with the Tree Lord Ancient, which seems very important to the Sylvaneth players. Drop the wood out, teleport over, do the fighting, teleport away. Seems really key. So really cool to see that in effect and going 4-1. Then we've got Juanma Alonso, and he was running Nighthorn, the Quicksilver Dead, which means he was running a bunch of Harridans, mainly made famous by Lex over in the Netherlands, where the Dutch live. He's got a Krulgas Crusader, a Spirit Torment, a Guardian of Souls, and a Lady Alinda. And then he had a unit of 9 Spirit Hosts, so maybe getting some inspiration from Nate over in the USA, protecting Lady Alinda and all of his characters. Krulgas Crusader obviously reducing damage down by 1 to a minimum of 1. Spirit Torment returning slain models. Guardian of Souls with the Midnight Tome and the spell Shade Mist. And then 20 Dreadscythe Harridans, 2 lots of 10 Harridans, and 9 Spirit Hosts. He's also got the Purple Sun and the Mimron Banshees. Purple Sun really good in Nighthorn because obviously the -1 to your save doesn't affect the Nighthorn army, so it does affect your opponent's army, so you can fight with it. You can fight close to your opponent with it, which I think is really, really fun. So yeah, shout out to Juanma Alonso, who's actually the brother of the famous Alonso F1 driver. Some people don't know that, so that's cool to see. And then Adrian Betis Ballerin was running Disciples of Tzeentch. He was playing it all in Host Duplicitous, so you can't retreat from units over 10 models. He had the Curseling, a Fluxmaster, Kairos, Magistron Disc, and a Magistron Foot, and then he had a Great Bray Shaman. Then 2 lots of 10 Horrors of Tzeentch, a unit of 10 Carrick Acolytes, with the Chronomantic Cogs, Demonic Simulacrum, and the Umbral Spell Portal. So he's definitely going for a summoning build here. You can very comfortably summon, probably get 15 or so fate points with this list, very simply, and he can use the Magister to potentially do through the spell portal the spell which will do D3 mortal wounds and summon a spawn, which is really good for like just pinning your opponent down, or if not, just doing Kairos's spell through the portal, so use snipe characters, which is super powerful as well. Anyway, the Spanish event looks like a really fun event. The Spanish community seemed like a really fun group of people. If you get the opportunity to go over there, I got to meet the Spanish team at Worlds. They were super nice. If you'd like to find out more about Spanish events, then there's the DKHM Twitter account, who you can message if you'd like to go over to Spain and play Warhammer. That'd be really fun. Shout out to everyone in Spain. I hope you had a great time, and see you soon. Our next event was in Northern Ireland, organised by the Exploding Dice Gaming Club over in Northern Ireland. It had 18 players, and it was located. Oh no, that's Spain. It was located here at the Exploding Dice Club in Bangor. That top table above. That top floor above the estate agent. So there it is. So if you ever want to go hang out there, if you're from Bangor or Northern Ireland or even the UK and you want to fly over, well, I mean England or Scotland or something, or Wales, and you want to fly over and go hang out, I'm sure the guys will show you a great time. I've been over. They're a great little group of people. Of these 18 players, our winner and the 5-0 was Mick Wendell with Ogres. But don't get too disheartened. It was a different ogre list to one we've seen previously. Mick was playing the Winterbite subfaction, meaning you can't see ogres or yeti units outside of 12 inches, meaning that they could just hold objectives and you had to go beat them up to fight them, to take them off objective. And that's difficult to do when there's a Frostlord and Stonehorn with the Arcane Tome and the Rockmane Eldar with flaming weapons running across at you to beat you up. He's also got an Icebrow Hunter, who's the general with the command trait Touched by the Everwinter, and then a Blood Pelt Hunter as well with a Gruesome Trophy Rack, meaning the Blood Pelt Hunter gets +1 to hit against heroes and monsters, as does the single Iron Blaster in the list. And then rounding out the list is a unit of 4 Mournfang and 12 Ogre Gluttons. Now, he had the Frost Sabers and Expert Conquerors, meaning the units of 2 Frost Sabers counted as 6 for holding objectives. He then had a Command Entourage getting him the extra stuff. A very unique and interesting list, super fun. Mick likes to play stuff that's fairly off meta sometimes. So the 4 Mournfang is quite interesting as well. The Gargant Hackers and then the Gluttons are just going to do a lot of damage. They're very good into the right matchup, those Gluttons. They have got a huge amount of attacks, 2-inch reach. They're going to do some really solid stuff. So you want to be really conscious of them and what they're going to do to beat you up. So shout out to Mick for doing so well with a very off-meta ogre list. So that's now our 3rd iteration on an ogre list that's done well this week, which is interesting. Okay, we have got a exciting 4-1 bracket though, because we have got age versus beauty. Solomon is a really young player over in Northern Ireland, but has represented the Northern Irish team already. Yeah. Absolutely love Solomon. He was running Nighthorn. He's got Scarlet Doom. He's got Guardian of Souls, a Spirit Torment, and a Krulgas Cruciator. Then he had 30 Bladegeist Revenants, 3 lots of 10 Bladegeist Revenants, and then 2 lots of 5 Hexwraiths with some Chain Ghasts, and then the Purple Sun. Again, that Purple Sun, as I've told you in the previous time, I was talking about Nighthorn, affects your opponent, doesn't affect you. Seems like a bit of a no-brainer when Rend is a little bit light. 30 Bladegeist Revenants also are going to be doing mortal wounds when they charge in, as are the other Bladegeist Revenants. And then the Hexwraith's also super useful for grabbing objectives, doing Desecrate, moving up the board, screening your opponent, all sorts of stuff for the Hexwraith. Just going to do some crazy good stuff. And then just the -1 damage Cruciator, Spirit Torment to replace models. Just ultimately just a very, very good list. Really, really exciting. Moving on to, so that was beauty. Moving on to age. Yeah, and he's nowhere near old enough because he's such a star. Colin Cochrane! Let's go, Colin. Now, Colin was doing this for family. He has a list called the Fast and Furious 6, and it'll all make sense in moments. He has a Hammers of Sigmar Stormcast Eternals army with a Lord Relictor with Translocation, a Lord Relictor who's a magician, thanks to the Arcane Tome, with the Master of Magic command trait. And then he's also got the Horrorghast in his list as well. He's got 2 Dracothian Guard Tempestors as battle line, and then 2 units of 5 Liberators. The Tempestors obviously got the shooting to keep your opponents screens, whittle them down, which is quite useful as well. And then he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 Stormstrike Chariots running across the board, all in the Redemption Brotherhood. Oh, no, not all in the Redemption Brotherhood. 3 of them are in Bounty Hunters, and they're legit a great combat unit. They're 12 wounds on a 3-up armor save for 165 points, and they do mortal wounds when they charge in. Devastating stuff. Really, really useful and really powerful. He's also got that Holy Command Call for Aid, which is really good as well. So really fun, super fun list. Love that. That's wicked. So yeah, that's everything coming out of Northern Ireland. If you get the chance to go over to go and hang out at the Exploding Dice Gaming Club in Bangor, I would do it. I've done it. They're great dudes. Our final event of the day It was in Italy. It's called the Weekend Warlords 6, and it had... Oh, actually, I don't know this information. It had 24 players playing in Italy. So you can find the event pack here, and I'll include in the show notes if you read Italian and would like to read it. And the event was held, absolutely no lie, here. For podcast listeners, I'm describing what looks to be a Zia or where you would potentially film a Bond film. Like, it's just beautiful marble architecture. But, as the chap quite rightly pointed out, doesn't look like there's a single vape shop or Greggs within walking distance, so probably terrible. That's all I'm going to say. Now, the event was won by Luca Onorati, and he was representing the gaming club Il Covo, and his list was a Nurgle list in Drowned Men. He had Blood Rot Spawn, Orgoch Demon Spew, a unit of 20 Plaguebearers, a unit of 4 Puskil Blight Lords, 2 units of 2 Puskil Blight Lords, and a unit of Plague Drones in Bounty Hunters and a Battle Reg. The Bounty Hunters were, of course, the Puskil Blight Lords in those lists, doing crazy, crazy damage. Quality stuff coming out of Italy. Okay, just looking at the 4-1s, maybe the 4-1s, they were doing a differential system and I don't read Italian, so I'm just going to read some lists out and tell everyone that you should go play Warhammer in Italy, I guess, because they play apparently in the fucking Colosseum. Yeah, and it looks beautiful. Right, so Leonardo Ravioli, no relation to the turtle, was playing with Skaven. He had an Arch Warlock, a Plague Priest, and Thanquol. 2 lots of 20 Clan Rats and 15 Plague Censer Bearers. He had Geminids and Laquan, then 10 Plague Monks, 6 Storm Fiends in his list. So obviously he's buffing up the Storm Fiends. He's going to move Laquan across the board, yeah, and then he's screening with the Clan Rats, and then the Arch Warlock and the Storm Fiends are going to do a bunch of the damage. But 10 Plague Monks are a pretty great combat unit, so like, let's just be really serious about that. Then, interestingly, 2 of the 4-1 lists were the same, and it was Gargants. Some people have been saying that Gargants aren't doing very well. And if you look at the TSN stats, they aren't. They're at like a 36% win rate, but maybe they haven't been thinking it through like the Italians. 2 different lists that are basically the same. Triple War Stomper. In this version of the list, you have the General is monstrously tough with the Club of the First Oak, and then a War Stomper with Glowy Shield of Protectiveness. Then a unit of 3 Man Crusher Mob and a single Man Crusher Mob. So triple War Stomper. And the other version was literally the same. Triple War Stomper, same artifacts, with the Man Crusher Mob again, which is pretty crazy. And then finally, being played by Vincenzo Naka, I feel I got that right, was playing Guild of Summoners, so you get up to 9 fate points turn 1, you're going to be able to summon a Lord of Change. He has a Curseling, a Changecaster, a Fate Master, a Magister, Be'lakor, and a Great Bray Shaman. And then the first time you get to 9 fate points, you'll be able to put a Lord of Change on the board. He's going to give +1 cast to everyone around you, and obviously gain access to his great spell, which is a pretty heavy damage dealing spell. Other than that, he's got 3 units of 10 Pink Horrors, and then the end of the spell, he's got the Burning Sigil, Cogs, and Umbral Spell Portal. So it's a spell summoning castle at the back of the board that's summoning big ones. Anyway, that is all of the lists from Italy, and that's all the lists from the past few weeks, because obviously I was away last week. And then it's probably going to be the last time we do Stat Center until the new year, with the way Christmas and other things land, and also there won't be any events. So I'm going to do a wrap-up show, maybe later in the week, or it'll be next week. And I'm also going to talk to the stat guys, Ziggy and Rob, and we're going to I'm going to see if they've got kind of like an end of the year wrap up, which would be really fun to look at. And I'd quite like to do that. Although there was very recently a bunch of stuff that were tweeted from the T Sport Stat Center Twitter with a kind of like wrap up of a bunch of the kind of factions and where they are right now. We are about to go into Christmas, so not really many events, and then we're about to go into a brand new season with a new GHB happening in January. First couple of weeks of January is what we're expecting. We think it's going to be the 14th of January. with that said, we then got the Gitz and the BC Chaos book and a swath of other new battle tomes in, with just a bunch of other battle tomes coming out. But it does seem like Ogres and Geometrica are doing really well, as maybe some of the other kind of big hitters, specifically Nurgle, are still floating about and still seem to be doing really good stuff. BC Chaos as well, but with a new book on the horizon, you kind of expect them to go away. So right now, the game's kind of on a pause, which is a nice time to take stock and evaluate the armies that you're going to be playing, the armies you're going to play. And right now, I don't think you can really make many assessments because we really don't know how the new season is going to play. We know that there's something to do with shooting characters, and there's some sort of battalion that lets you shoot characters. So you can't shoot characters, and then you might be able to shoot them with a battalion, but we don't really know how that works yet. And I'm sure we'll find more of that as time comes on. And then with the new books, we don't know how they're going to do either or what problem they're going to pose. I would say that the Iron Blasters for Ogres are definitely posing a huge problem. At the weekend, I played here at the TSN Arena. I played a bunch of Ogre lists and some Iron Blasters. And one of the things I would say is that you really should be nominating pieces of terrain as just blocking line of sight in any way. Like, just blocks line of sight. If you draw a line across it, it just blocks line of sight. Doesn't matter on the number of wounds the model has, just blocks line of sight. I feel like it's a really healthy addition to your games and your tournaments if you're going to run tournaments next year. I think that would be really positive, especially because that's a really easy way of changing the game state and making it so that people don't just lose huge models on the first turn. Feels like a massive negative. And I know that people here at the arena have said time and time again that they found it to be a huge positive. So you really want to do that. And if you don't do that, then you're really just ruining the game for a lot of people. That said, though, those Iron Blasters are going to be something that really are going to affect the shape of the meta and the game. Big monsters probably don't have a lot of life they won't survive. So that's going to change stuff up pretty significantly. There's also a bunch of other shooting that's good as well. We've also got Slaves to Darkness to really hit the meta. We're in a production cycle problem at the minute where they're going to land and they right now still being built and painted, so we've got to wait to see what they look like when they actually make it to the tables. Nighthorn's still in there, hitting 4-1 brackets all the time. Sylvaneth dropping off, it seems. Not being quite as popular, which I think is going to be interesting. It'll be really fun. There's going to be some really big tournaments rocking up in the beginning of in January, towards the end of January. See how those meta representations look. See if the armies have changed, if some have become a lot less popular. Don't forget, you can go onto the onto the Honest Wargamer website, and you can look at the stats, and you can track the win rate and also the meta representation of armies over time. It's super worth checking them out because you get a more like snapshot identity. They also differ a little bit to Games Workshop stats, and that's not me accusing Games Workshop of like padding or unpadding numbers. I'm just saying that those are the legit numbers. Like, I can guarantee that our numbers are the legit numbers, which is a real positive. It's not meant to be throwing shade. It's just absolutely something to go and look at, which I think is really, really healthy. And I would do that if I were you, because then you get, and also the data is more readily available. You can look at sub-faction stuff, and you can look at drop counts, you can look at T-whips, you can look at positive win rate potentials. It's just a whole bunch of data that no one else does. So again, shout out to Ziggy and Rob for producing those, because they're great people. If you'd like to support the show, you can obviously support me on Patreon. That would be great. Thanks to everyone in the Twitch chat for hanging out with me while we do this. The best. And thank you to everyone who listens to the show. If you listen to the show all year or just new, I want to thank you a lot, especially if you listen to the podcast or listen on YouTube. It means a lot to me, and I super appreciate it, so thanks. You should aim to misbehave.